I've got a cracking attacking game to show you, played by Arjun Erigaisi, currently number 4 in the world, and well, his star is really rising. So this was played in the FIDE World Rapid Team Championship. It's taking place in London. It's just finished yesterday, and the team that Arjun played for, MGD1, that's basically a team of Indian players and a couple of others. They won it. Congratulations to them. And Arjun really played his part on board 1. He had a bit of a roller coaster tournament, but ended up, I think, with 6 out of 11 on top board. Had some very strong opposition. But anyway, I want to show you this game he played as white against Jose Martinez. And he is a grandmaster, originally from Peru, but now representing Mexico. Right, without further ado, d4, d5. Queen's Gambit declined. Arjun goes for the exchange variation and bishop g5. Now, I have found myself on the black side of this opening quite a lot. And the way I like to play it is to delay castling. Keep the king in the middle until you know where white's king is committing. And if the white king goes queenside, you go queenside too. If the king goes kingside, you go kingside. But Martinez commits straight away. And of course, Arjun, we know what an exciting player he is. He doesn't need much provocation to go for a kingside attack. Let's see how he did it. Knight h5. So this is a very well-known way for black to play. After the exchange of bishops, the queen sits quite happily on e7. The only thing is this pawn on h6 gives white a hook to attack. And here we go, knight d7. I mean, black doesn't need to play exactly like this. You could drop the knight back first. But after knight d7, there you go. That's an invitation to attack for white. Hits the knight, has to come back, and then rook g1. So Arjun wants to push forward, crack open the g-file, and, well, if he castles, gets the second rook to g1, support doubling on the g-file. I mean, that is already irresistible. So black has to be very, very careful. But Martinez decided, right, just going to go for it straight away with b5. So he sets his counterplay in motion. So this is really, really double-edged. Now, you could push straight away, but that rook, it needs the support of rook number 2. So in fact, black can get away with this, playing the knight in here, and the rook is attacked. So first Arjun plays h4, and then he'll be ready to push forward. Martinez finds a really clever defense, actually. Remember, this is rapid play, 15 minutes plus 10 seconds each move, so they haven't got too much time to deliberate. And his plan is this: after g5, knight h5, so that the g-file might open, but actually there's no clear way in for white here. And black can use this square for defense. So better to keep the pawn on g5. Arjun decides, okay, I'm just going to castle queenside. And knight b6. So Martinez is setting up his queenside counterplay. This pawn might advance to b4. The knight may come in here. And of course it opens up the bishop's diagonal. So how is white going to make that breakthrough on the king's side? Well, Arjun played knight g3, exchanging off the knight. And now this is looking more serious, with white doubling and taking on h6 and perhaps moving the rook down to g7, supported by rook number 2. So Martinez decides to close the king side. Okay, that looks very reasonable. So how is Arjun going to try to break through now? Plays knight e2. So that preempts b4, but also it's clear where this knight wants to go. Knight comes to f4, attacking this pawn. And if g6, well, you're going to be able to make a... well, it's not really a sacrifice on g6, and there's a big knight fork afterwards. So that's why bishop g4 was played, to support this pawn. Of course, white wants to play f3, but queen e3 is check. But black still has to get counterplay going quickly, otherwise you might find a move like, king b1 and, then, I don't know, supporting the pawn, or maybe just playing rook e1 immediately and f3. Or, well, another way to do it might be, after knight c4, for example, bishop e2. That's probably the simplest way to go. Exchange off this bishop, threatening the pawn, and then take on h5. If that's taken, well, white is breaking through here. If f6, trying to close it, then g7. So that's the kind of thing that black has to be careful of. So quite a simple idea, bishop e2. And as we've seen, as I've pointed out before, g6 doesn't hold things together because of bishop g6. And pawn takes bishop, knight takes. So it's quite clear that black needs counterplay and fast. So Martinez played c5, very interesting move. Well, clearly queen takes will be met by rook c8, pinning queen to king. So what about pawn takes pawn? Well, then rook c8 attacks this, and if b4, then a5. Black is certainly going to get counterplay there. So Arjun thought for some time here, and, well, typically he went for the initiative. He sacked the exchange and moved his queen across. So he wants to take on g4 and keep going with his knight and bishop and these advanced pawns. So black could take on d4, queen g4. So there's a threat, king g8. And white certainly has compensation here, but it's absolutely not clear. But it's scary for black. So Martinez decided simply to defend the pawn on g4 with the queen, trying to prevent white's queen from reaching the action on the king side. And Erigaisi still has to deal with this pawn. What's he going to do? Well, he took it, and after rook c8, he played very bravely b4. This is extraordinary. I mean, I was looking at this on the live commentary with Yavanka, and we were both struggling to see how white should play this position. It's really not obvious. If you play a3, we were running into things like this, a check, and then the rook ducks back to a4, take here. King is in trouble. So a3 didn't feel right, but we couldn't quite put our finger on what white should play here. I think by process of elimination, we found bishop c2 in the end, and Arjun played that quite quickly. He'd obviously planned this ahead, but it's a remarkable idea. So allowing pawn takes pawn and simply setting up this battery here. It's really crude, but it's very effective. And if g6, then there are issues with queen d4, and this can be taken. But king g8 played. And pawn takes knight. Rook takes pawn. I mean, this is quite scary, but Arjun just played rook d2, just defending. Then rook c5, so Martinez trying to hold this pawn together. I mean, who knows, maybe he's planning this. But Arjun managed to finish in style now. The queen swooped down. A check. Took on g7, so this sets up knight g6. And b3, last try. But clearly our man had calculated this well before this position. And after knight g6, in fact, black resigned. Martinez resigned. Okay, why? Well, this king is just getting hunted down. I do want to show you one beautiful variation, actually. Well, first of all, let me show you this one. King d8, a check, and then queen takes rook. Okay, white is too much material up. The king is in trouble. But let me finish with this. This is so stylish. So there are quite a few ways to win. But the quickest and most effective is this. Queen f8. So king e6, knight f4 check. Now the king gets caught, but this is beautiful. This is like a study. Queen b8. The king has no squares. The queen must step up. Now queen h8. King has no squares, so f6. And then queen e8. Queen e6, and that can be taken because the pawn was forced up to f6, and that is checkmate. I'm just going to show you that again because it's so beautiful. Okay, so knight g6, king d6, check. Knight f4, check on b8, check on h8, check on e8, and there you go. There are other variations there. I'm sure you can work out how to win. Well, was that game completely sound? Of course not. I mean, this is rapid chess. I think what's important when you're playing with such a short time control is to play with the right spirit, to try and grab the initiative, to have a clear plan. And Erigaisi clearly had that on the king side and kept going with this exchange sacrifice, even though the consequences were still quite unclear. And the other thing you need to do, of course, is have a very sharp eye for a finish. And he had that with this wonderful idea of bringing the queen down. I mean, this was an extraordinary idea, actually. Bishop c2. It looks so crude, but you know, in the middle of black's counterattack, to find this counter-attack was absolutely brilliant, and it really is sound. By this stage, white is winning. So brilliant play from Erigaisi. And again, congratulations to Team MGD1 on winning the World Rapid Team Championship. Hope you enjoyed that. I'm going to be commentating on the Blitz Team Championship over the next couple of days. I do hope you'll join myself and Jovanka Hauska in further commentary on that. Thanks for watching.